Hello everyone, today I'll be talking about the Indian Agriculture Acts of 2020. These Indian Agriculture Acts of 2020 are popularly known as the Farm Acts. Before understanding these Farm Acts, what were their objectives, what were the problems which the farmers were having from these farm laws, and how a law is enacted in the Indian Parliament, first we will understand that who has the power to make laws in regard to agriculture. As all of us know that India is a federal country and the power to make laws is not in the hands of just the center or the state. This power is distributed between the center and the state. And from where we get this knowledge that on which subject who has the power, this has been provided to us under Schedule 7 of the Indian Constitution. It provides us with three lists: union list, state list, and concurrent list. The subjects under union list, the power to make laws for those subjects is with the central government. In case of state list, the powers given under the state list, the power to make laws is with the state government. And coming on to the concurrent list, the subjects which are mentioned under this list, the power is with both center as well as the state. So agriculture comes under the state list. So state has the power to make law. And this is provided to us under the Indian Constitution. So once these farm acts were approved by Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the President of India gave his assent to the bill on 27 September 2020. After this assent was given by the President, there were a lot of protests that were done by the farmers. For last 14 months, farmers have been protesting against these laws that they should not be implemented, they should not come into force. And as a result, the Supreme Court stayed the implementation of the Farm Act 2020 and also constituted a committee to make recommendations in regard to these farm laws. Recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced that the central government will take steps to repeal the three contentious farm laws. And Prime Minister Modi said that they have decided to repeal the three farm laws and they will also finish the constitutional process to repeal the law in the upcoming parliament session, that is the winter session. He also said that he tried to explain to the farmers that how these modifications were required, but he couldn't. So they have decided to repeal these laws. Now, coming on to these three laws. What are these three laws? Why the farmers were protesting against it? So the first act was the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020. This act aims at opening up the agricultural sale and marketing outside the notified agricultural produce market committee, also known as the mandis. So what was the aim behind this particular act was to provide broader scope to the farmers to sell their produce. Right now, there are mandis, and in mandis, farmers go and sell their produce. They have in between persons whom we commonly known as bicholias, and with the help of them, farmers are able to sell their produce. But this particular act aims to break the monopoly of government regulated mandis and allow farmers to sell directly to the private buyers. This act also said that it will prohibit the state governments from levying any market fees, cess, or any levy on farmers. So this was the main objective behind enacting this particular act, which is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020. Now we will come on to the second act. The second act is Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020. Now, this particular act talks about a legal framework should be created. Okay, in this act, they were talking about that a legal framework should be created and a contract farming should be done. All the terms and conditions should be written. So if a farmer wants to sell their produce to any private company, then there will be a proper legal agreement between that farmer and that private company. And all the terms and conditions will be written in that particular contract. Terms and conditions could be related to the supply, quality of produce, the grade, standards, price of farm produce, everything will be mentioned in that particular contract. It will be a proper legal contract. And it also talks about the dispute resolution mechanism. Okay, so when we are talking about contract farming, legal framework, then they have also thought about that in case any dispute arises in relation to this contract or contract farming, then that dispute could be resolved. And for resolving that dispute, this act provides a three-level dispute settlement mechanism, which consists of a conciliation board, subdivisional magistrate, and appellate authority. So this was the second act. The main aim, the main objective was this. Now coming on to the third act. The third act is the Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. Now this act is removing cereals, pulses, oil seeds, edible oils, onions, potatoes from the list of essential commodities. And it will also deregulate the production, storage, movement, and distribution of these food commodities. They will also focus, this particular act will also focus that there should be no stock limit. It will remove the stock holding limits. Okay, many a times this happens that according to the demand and supply, people try to hoard things. People try to hoard the essential commodities so that once the price rises because of the lack of supply, then they will sell their produce. But this particular act was making sure that no such stock holding limit should be removed on items except under exceptional conditions like war or any kind of emergency, natural calamity. Otherwise, no stock holding could be done. It also required the imposition of any stock limit on agriculture produce should be based on price rise. Okay, so it was main aim was to allow agribusiness to stock food articles and remove the government's ability to impose restrictions arbitrarily. So if you see all these three acts which the government has made was trying to improve the agriculture industry, trying to give powers in the hands of the farmers rather than the government. But still, why farmers were having issues with these three acts? What were the problems which the farmers were having that they were not allowing, that they were protesting that these acts should not be enacted? So the main grievance that was raised by the farmers was that these laws will result in the dismantling of the state-run agriculture produce marketing committees and will also disrupt the minimum support price mechanism. Now, what is this MSP? What is this minimum support price mechanism? As the name suggests, minimum support price. So whenever there is a lot of produce that is left, so or there are rates which are fixed in the mandis, there's a rate that is minimum. Government fixes a minimum price for a produce, and below that a farmer cannot sell their produce. So this was the support which the government was giving to the farmers, that below that no produce could be sold. This was the minimum support price which the farmers were getting from the government. And with the coming of these acts, this will disrupt. The other fear the farmers were protesting, the protesting farmers fear that the laws will pave way for corporate exploitation, and a batch of petitions were filed in the Supreme Court challenging the validity of these farm laws by the farmers. So these were the three acts, these were the issues which the farmers were having. Now coming on to a very important step which the government missed. How a law is enacted. All of us know that for enacting a law, for making any law coming into force, there are certain steps. First is a particular law, that is a particular bill named A is introduced in a House of Parliament. Let's take the example. A particular bill named A is introduced in Lok Sabha. In Lok Sabha, discussions are done and it is passed. Once this particular bill is passed in Lok Sabha, then it is forwarded to Rajya Sabha, the other house of parliament. Okay, so parliament has two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. First, it was passed in Lok Sabha, then it was introduced in Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha also, it was passed. After getting passed in both the houses, it was sent to President for his assent. Once the President gives assent, a particular bill becomes an act, and then the President notifies a particular date that from this date, this particular act will come into force. But there is one more step which is usually not done, because it's not compulsory that it should be done, but still it's a step, and it's a very important step. That step is introducing this particular bill to standing committee. Now, what is the standing committee? Standing committee is a committee consisting of member of parliaments or MPs, and it is a permanent and regular committee which is constituted from time to time according to the provisions of an act or parliament. So why it was required in this particular bill? So these farm bills should have been referred to a standing committee on agriculture for a detailed scrutiny, because the committee could have held comprehensive discussion with the farmers, and they would have thus got an opportunity to present their views before the committee and the parliament. But this step was missed by the government. If government would have taken this step, then the things would have something else. There might be some issues that could have been resolved, because the main complaints which the farmers were having, that they were never consulted at any stage before this act was enacted. So they were never consulted that, okay, a law is being made or a discussion is being done. So this was the problem which the farmers were having. And if the parliament would have referred this particular bill to standing committee, then the farmers would be able to give their opinion in regard to that, but this step was missed. So in my view, if they would have gone through this particular way, then the things could have been on a different side. So this was my video on the farm laws which will be repealed in the coming winter session in Parliament. I hope this video was helpful to all of you. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.